Hi everyone, it's Nat here. Hope you're all doing well. So the lovely Tracie Fox has invited me to be part of a collaboration for the month of June. So we figure if you can have Christmas in July, then you can have Halloween in June. So for this collaboration, it is hashtag Creep on June. So we're going to get our creep on, which is going to be great fun. So she has produced this Halloween Mega Matchbox Mini Kit for the occasion, which looks like so much fun. So it's got her little Matchbox Minis, which are here. There's a lot of different designs as well in those. So you can make them up as little boxes to put things in, or as little boxes to store little mini journals. I think there's even little mini journal covers and pages that you can use in the kit. There's also fussy carts, doors, silhouettes, all sorts of bits and pieces. So heaps of fun kit to use. So she has got together the most amazing mob of fellow crafters to put out a video for our viewing pleasure for every day of June that we can watch, using bits from a kit and bits that they have around the place to make something creepy for us. So that's going to be so much fun to follow along with. So I will have linked below a list to all the other people who are participating in this collaboration and links to their YouTube, so you can go and check them out. There will be a link to this kit as well if you want to go and grab it yourself, print it out and grab whatever else you have around. And we'd love it if you can show us what you make. Either put up a video yourself or put it on your social media, whether it's Instagram or if you're on Facebook, if you're in the Foxy Crafters group, just make sure you add the hashtag #CreepOnJune. So, and then we'll be able to see what everyone makes. That would be so much fun. I just think it would be a lovely distraction from life stresses to do something a little less serious. So yeah, I can't wait to get started. So I am going to jump off and raid my house for some bits and pieces. I have some ideas. My head's been going crazy with all these ideas, but I have a limited amount of time, so I must jump off, grab a whole heap of stuff, come back, do some stuff with you, and we'll see what we can make. So I have here the front and back covers of an old book, and I just want to cover the inside of them with a bit of this black lace that I got from the second-hand store. So I'm using some cheap fabric glue from Kmart in Australia. So this dries clear, which is perfect for adhering lace. So I just lay it down over the top of the glue, and then I grab some baking paper. It just helps me press down on the lace without it lifting back up and sticking onto my hands. And then I go around the edges just to ensure that they've stuck down nicely. So with the covers, I cleaned them down with a wet wipe on the outside of the covers, and then I used some matte medium just to seal them nicely, especially on the raw edge where I'd cut the spine away. It was already quite broken, so it was good to be able to reuse those covers. So I've got some black cardstock here, and I've got a part of one of the matchboxes there, and I want to use that to create a pocket just for the front inside cover. So I'm just figuring out the size that I want my pocket, and I want to use the black cardstock just to make it a bit more sturdy and add a bit of contrast to the background. So I'm deciding where to cut the paper to create my two little pocket pieces. I'm cutting it so I've got a little bit of a lip there. I want to fold a little bit of a lip on the top of each of the pockets just to make them a little more sturdy. The second pocket I do two lips, one at the bottom and one at the top. Don't ask me why. I think I thought that it would add a bit more room to slip things in there, but it doesn't really because I haven't got side gussets. So they're quite tight, but I'm not going to slip anything thick into them anyway. So I thought about making a third pocket or putting another piece of paper up the top for decoration, but I think it will be a bit too high, so I decided not to do that. But I do want to use that deadly handling label, so I do use that a bit later. So I just cut my bit of cardstock down and I use my decorative corner punch just to make the corners a bit prettier, if you could use that word for this sort of journal. So I'm just using black soot ink throughout this journal to do all my edges. So now I want to stick my pockets down, and of course I want to leave the top of them open. So firstly I have to stick the little flaps down that I'm doing to strengthen the tops there, and then I stick the 3 sides down, the bottom and the 2 sides, and that leaves the top open for both of my pockets. And I do afterwards go and sew just down the sides and the bottom of the whole thing and the bottom of that top pocket as well, just to make it more sturdy. And that creates a really nice set of pockets for my front cover. Funny thing is I forgot to stick down the bottom, so I had to rip it back up. You know how it is when you're on camera, something always goes wrong. So I've got my cinch out, and I'm just showing you that I did practice to make sure that I got my holes where I wanted them, and I'm doing 3 holes. And I made sure I had my ruler all set to the length that I wanted it on my cinch. Now, if you don't have a cinch, you can just use your crocodile or a normal hole puncher. So I'm just punching 3 holes into each piece of my cover, and I double check that they're up the right way that I want them, because I've got a bad habit of doing things upside down and around the wrong way and all that sort of thing. So that's my cover pieces done there. So I decided to try and be a bit artistic. Never tried this before. I have that bit of wax there. That come in a estate sale that I got, and I didn't even know what it was. I had to ask people on video, what is this? Because I'd never done any wax seals at that stage. So yeah, it's an old like wax seal candle or whatever. So I'm using that and just dripping some of the wax on the front inside cover to make it look like blood. And then I drip a pile and use that bit of metal just to squish it down to look like gore or whatever. Wasn't perfect, but I kind of like it. The colour is awesome. So yeah, that worked well. So there I cut out that little deadly handling label, and I'm just putting some grey lace behind it, just for something different. I like using different bits of laces, and I pick up heaps at the secondhand store, so it's great to drag it out. I have it all over my table, these different black and grey laces at the moment. So I just want to stick that down on my pocket just to add something extra. It's so much fun playing with this kit. Lots of little pieces to use. And then I've got another piece. I think it's the bottom of one of the matchboxes, and I decided to back that onto some old book page and use it as a journaling card, because it will fit into one of the pockets nicely. Inking around the edges. So this project won't suit everyone. I know not everyone enjoys the dark themes, but I find them quite interesting. So I've grabbed one of the tags from the kits and I want to make that up. So just score it so I can fold it in half. It takes me forever to get the edges even on these things. But yeah, whenever I'm reading books, I find interesting bits and pieces, and some of them are a bit morbid, but I hang on to them and that. So this has given me an opportunity to make a little booklet to put some of these more morbid facts and folklore and that sort of thing into. So I've made up that tag, and that's going to fit nicely into the other pocket for me. So I decided to speed the video up because it takes me so long to do the crafting, and the video would be hours long otherwise. So yeah, I've got some of this Germanic, it's antique paper with the beautiful writing on it. So I meant to put some under the label, but again, being on video, I forgot. So I thought I'd add some afterwards, and I really love the way it looks because it's very goth-like as it is. So it goes with the theme really nicely. And just add something extra. I've decided to add some to the journaling card as well. Don't mind my camera there. I don't know why it's bumping around like that, but it does stop. So I just grabbed a lace scrap to put on as well. So I dragged out every black and red ribbon and lace scrap that I have in the place. My desk is absolutely chock-a-block full of, lots of black scraps. So I've got some of the words there. They're heaps of fun to use as well. And one of the skulls from the kit. Just add some decoration to the little journaling card. I couldn't add too much texture or else it won't slip into my little pockets, but just gives me a bit of room to add some more information if I find some in the future that I want to put in there. And then I found some leftover bling that I had lying around and thought I'd put some of that on, some of the little sticky dots. So it's a real simple way of making a journal, this is, and I highly recommend it if you haven't made a lot of journals. It's so much fun to be able to just grab a bit of scrap cardboard or something, punch a few holes in it and decorate the page and then add it. You know, it's a very easy way of making a journal. And if you don't have the rings to bind, you can always just use some twine or ribbon to bind. So yes, I raided my black ribbon scraps as well and used some of that just as a tab for my little tag. And then I ended up sewing around the whole tag, and that helped adhere the tab better as well. So I'm figuring out my placement for it all, and then I stick it down with my Helmars glue. The Helmars glue just really helps hold it onto the fabric. Some more heavy duty glue than my white glues. So I hope you're all crafting along with us. It's heaps of fun. There's already people putting up projects in the Foxy Crafters group and on Instagram, which is great to see. So on the front, I've just got a little bit of fabric here, which I have dyed with my black ink. Just use my blending tool to put some ink on there. And then I've got one of the words that I backed onto a few bits of cardstock, inked around it, and then used some Dimensional Magic, which is a Mod Podge product. And that's added that glossy, thick sheen to the top, which I really like. So I'm just going to stick that on as the title to my book, which I love. And that will be my front and back covers done for now. And then I know that I wanted to do one page with you guys, well, 2 pages actually. So I'm just showing you here that I used some of that scrap cardboard as a page, and that's the page on the left. I've already stuck something on there that I don't want to show you yet, so we're going to do the other side. And then there I've got just a little bit of tea-dyed cardstock, and I'm making a pocket out of that to put on that paper bag. So I'm covering that with a bit of my black lace. I'm sort of theming the pages in this with different dark themes, so just trim the excess lace off. So with these two pages, I'm doing a bit of a raven theme. So I've got another one of the bits from the matchboxes there. I think that's another base. So I'll be using that to decorate this pocket that I'm going to put on the bag. I always theme everything. I find it hard to make journals and that without theming everything. So I've got some information there on the movie The Raven, which I think was like inspired by the Edgar Allan Poe poem. And I found that interesting, so I found that in my stash because I was found it interesting anyways, and I had kept it. So I've got the little word card there, which I'm going to put on the page, and the person, I've got a couple of those people with ravens on their shoulders, or kids I should say, and they were given to me. There's a few pieces I'm using in here that were given to me by a lovely lady by the name of Corinna, who I won a Halloween journal off of, and she stuffed it full of ephemera, so I've been able to use some pieces of that as well. I dragged out some of my washi tape, which I don't use very often, so it's good to get that out. I just left the word card unstuck a bit at the bottom because I want to stick this little kid's foot underneath there a bit, and then I'll stick it down afterwards properly. But I'm leaving the raven on her shoulder unstuck a bit because I'm not sure exactly what I want to put up there, and I leave it blank, so I'm just leaving it unstuck a little bit in case I decide I want to stick something down there under the raven. So I'm moving on to the bag again now, and I'm just sticking the pocket down on the 3 edges, so it'll be open at the top. And then with the bag, at the back there, I've folded it up, and then I'm folding it on the side, on this side. So it'll be a side tuck on this side and then a bottom tuck on the other side. So I'm sticking it down the bottom there to make that side tuck, and then sticking that little flap down there so it makes this tiny little pocket there on the side tuck, which I will put something in a bit after. I'm just holding it with the clip because it's quite thick. I was going to cut out the raven picture there, but I love that lace so much that I decided to fussy cut around that and use that as well, because I was going to make another journaling card, but instead I decided to utilise that bit folder and make a little booklet, and then I can slip that into my pocket. So I raided my paper stash. I have some the sort of grey papers that I dyed with water and acrylic paint ages ago for a project, and I never used them. So I'm just roughly cutting a couple of pieces out of that to make 2 double pages. So I thought I'd make a couple of pages with you, and then I'll go off and I'll finish my book. Won't be completely finished because it'll be a book that I work on and add bits and pieces to as I find them, but I'll do a whole heap of pages and then come back and do a flip through for you. But it's definitely the type of journal that you can sit down and put together quite quickly. So if you're like me and you like collecting information on all this morbid stuff, then yeah, it's a fun idea to do for Creep on June. Something a little different to do with the kit. So I'm just inking around all the edges, and I'm going to stick the front cover to one of the pages, and then the lace will be stuck around on the back page. Don't mind my buffhead. And then I just trim any overhang off. So that's the cover done. And then I was going to stick the pages in with my washi tape, but it just adds so much bulk and I find it a little bit messy. So I decided in the end to grab some leftover thread. When I bind signatures, I always end up with all this excess thread and I keep them. So I grabbed some of that to use for this little mini book and did a 3-hole pamphlet stitch here. And I just used the needle that I've got there to poke the holes as I went. Got that cardboard there. If you can't tell, I've bound a few signatures using that and poked a few holes. So handy if you get parcels and that and you've got that thick cardboard. Yeah, great to keep that for poking holes. So yes, massive thank you to Tracie Fox for this awesome idea. Such a fun collaboration to do. Just can't wait to see what everyone makes this month. So there's my little book all ready to go, and I can write in it or stick heaps more information in there. So now all my corners and that are dry. I've just got that side there to do to create the tuck in the back of my paper bag. So I have all these bird feathers, which I remembered, and I'm assuming those black ones are probably from ravens. So I thought, well, how fitting is that? I should use one since I have so many feathers. So I found one that I thought would sit nicely in there. And it fits quite firmly in there, actually, but it does twist around a bit and that. So I thought I'd better stick it down with my Helmar's glue. I just run a line along just to make sure it doesn't move about too much. I decided to put just a tiny little bit of washi tape in that corner. Don't ask me why. Something to do. That's what I love about junk journaling. You just grab whatever little bit of whatever scraps around and stick it wherever and it's all right. It works. So the glue just down the middle there holds it quite nicely. So punch the holes in it. decided to put eyelets. I put the eyelets in the cover pieces, but I also put them in here because it'll just make it more sturdy. The cardboard pages I'm not putting eyelets in. I feel like I'd have to have all the same eyelets, and I don't have enough of the same colour eyelets and that. The cardboard pieces are sturdy enough without the eyelets anyway, so I'm just saving them for things that I feel might be a little delicate. So I have the little postcard there with the raven on that came in the kit, and I've got some information there about the mythology of ravens, and it seems to want to fit pretty well perfectly on the back of that postcard, so I decided to stick it on there. Thought I'd leave all the fiddly matchbox making to all the people that are good at little fiddly matchbox making. I'm not very good at that sort of thing, so I should make one though, just to put all my little bits and pieces in. So this is one of the pockets from the kit. They are so cute. So I had to make one of these up. I thought that'll slip into my little tuck spot on this side nicely, so I'll just make sure I put a bit of ink on that top flap, I should say, on the inside there, because it's a bit white, so I just inked that a bit. And it fits my little postcard in perfectly. And there's one of the ephemera pieces that, of course, has a raven on. Overdosing on ravens. Yeah, so I backed that onto some, I think it's a paper that I got from a little journal I got in a second-hand store. It had these really grungy papers in. Wasn't very well put together, but the papers I thought were really cool, so I thought I could reuse them, so I brought it home. Some more of my Germanic paper. I call it Germanic paper because I called it German, and then someone suggested it was Icelandic, so I looked up about it, and I just figured saying Germanic works. So but I thought it'd be nice to put some of that on the bag. Just stands out a lot nicer if I ink around it. When I stick the glue on it, the glue seems to show through a bit, but as it dries, it clears up nicely, fortunately. And I've got another one of Corinna's cute little kids, and a raven, of course, that came from the kit. Had to stick that somewhere. I was going to stick it on the other page, but I moved things around and it didn't quite sort of fit where I wanted it, so I thought I'd stick it on this page instead. So, of course, I've got a number of other themes to fit into this journal. So I will be back on shortly with a flip through of what I've done to show you. I'm having so much fun with it. So I spent a couple of days embellishing the book, And I have it here ready to show you guys. So it was heaps and heaps of fun making this. Could have kept going, but it's getting a bit chunky and I don't think I can fit any more pages in, so I had to stop. So I've made a little dangle with my scraps, which I've just attached with a bulb pin there. So just has some scrap ribbon, some scrap lace and a bit of scrap twine with these little skulls that someone gave me. They're really cute. I've got a pile of those, so it's great to get using some. And some broken jewellery bits. So there's the cover that we made together and the inside page. I've made a couple of changes to this. I did add a little rub-on, Tim Holtz rub-on there, the bug. And then it says be afraid there, and I found the be very afraid, so I stuck that underneath, but otherwise it's the same as what I showed before. Now this is the other side of the page that we made together, and I love this. It's a book dust cover and it looks really gloomy and goth, so I really wanted to put that in. There's our Raven page, and here's our paper bag. Haven't made any changes to that, it's got a little booklet in it. Over the page, there's still room to put some information in the bag if I want to. And we've got a little journaling card and a little pocket, which has in there a little postcard with information about the Raven mythology or lore in there, so that slips in there. So most of the pages here are made out of recycled cardboard from packaging or book covers. The flip out ones were book covers. And they're all sort of themed, different gloomy, dark themes. So this one's anatomy themed, so strange and stranger. And I've used the matchboxes for decoration and backing things and making pockets mostly. So I've used pictures in this one that are from the artists that initially drew pictures of anatomical findings, which is quite interesting. So really cool pictures they are. Morbid, but yeah, very interesting. And I put the information on the back of that one. And so this is a pocket I made with one of the matchboxes, and it's a triple pocket. 1, 2, 3. And it's a pocket at the back as well. Then I stuck these cool pictures on there. I love those pictures. And then in here is another picture of a lacy tracery of nerves. So that just fits in there. It's a tight fit, but it fits nicely. Then on the other side, I've got this awesome picture and some Da Vinci. Got to have some Leonardo in there. And the information of that one. And then this page is on death. Gloomy, I know, but yeah, interesting. So information about the dance of death. And I can write on the other side if I want. And then in here is a pocket, and there's a tag in there that has information about this picture, which is William Blake's painting of the fourth horseman of the apocalypse. So I've used rub-ons and skull from the kit there just to decorate. And this picture and all the rub-ons there, they're hilarious. Just lightens up the mood a bit. So, yeah. Had fun with those Tim Holtz rub-ons. I put them everywhere. So, yeah, pocket here. The backing is some material that I got off of a kid's skirt from the op shop for a Halloween skirt. Yeah, poor kids. I go in the op shops and grab all the stuff that they'd probably want. But, yeah, I really love it. It works nicely to stick down. So, and then the spider pictures from the kit, and then one of the doors which you can open up, and there's the other spider in there in the door. So there's room in there. This is one of your cutlery pockets, so I can stick some information in there on spiders. I do have a bit here, but it's not the right size. I have to condense the information down to fit it in there. So death head moth and some information about the death head moth there. And the tag that has the picture of the moth as well on there. And then on this page I made a waterfall with my acrylic dyed paper, and I've got the scraps piece because it's sort of bits and pieces about different myths that I didn't have a lot of information on, and it's the last page I put in here, and I couldn't really fit much more in, so this was a way of putting all the little bits and pieces of information in here that I wanted to. So more rub-ons there, collector of curiosities. So there's the Minotaur, leprechauns, elf, Kerras, or Cares, pagan, Scylla and Charybdis. Spare page there. Hades, another spare page. So still a bit of room in here for me to put some information. Vodianoi, never heard of that one before. Werewolves. Then we've got Medusa here and some information. And this is Polvix, which I'd never heard of either. And then this big card at the back here has harpies. So there's still a bit more room that I can put a bit of information in here if I want to. So that's just one of Tim Holt's stitch slots there. So then the Crystal Palace. So it was great because the actual kit gave me some really good ideas of things to look up and learn about. Because I hadn't heard of the Crystal Palace before, or if I have heard of it, I didn't know what it was. So I just cut the words out of the ephemera piece for that, and found some pictures of the Crystal Palace. And there was a poem that someone wrote when the Crystal Palace got destroyed. So I've printed that out. And another picture of it there. And then the little tag that's got the Crystal Palace on it. And then I'm pretending that these are shelves in one of the displays in the Crystal Palace with all this weird and wonderful stuff on display. And I just used bits of paper, the bits that look like wood, to make shelves for that. So that was heaps of fun on one of the Tim Holtz rub-ons. So a bit of a lace curtain there, and underneath that is vampires. So this is all bats and vampires. So some of the old movie pictures. A lot of us would remember Nosferatu. Apparently he scared a lot of people. Foolish Mortal, that was one of the rub-ons. And then behind here is a tuck spot, and at the back I've got the ephemera piece of Transylvania. And I've got this one with some bats and the bat word card, and then some information on this 1931 Dracula film. And then you can open this up. This is one of the matchboxes as well. And a rub-on on the front. Got this tag, and that has information about vampires. And then if you open that up, we've got our beautiful ladies who are a bit batty, a bit like me. And that just sits in there. I'll tie that up afterwards. Put my curtain down. So I've got waltzing witches here. So these are beautiful witches that Corinna gave me. One of the tombstones. And that flips open. And then we've got some information on witchcraft and in the past, and some pictures that I found relating to the subject. And the little card, word card. Little pocket here that has bubbling cauldron And then this ephemera piece that has the witch's cauldron as well. They can be written on the back. So if I find more bits of information that I want, I can just fill those in. I can fit some more paper in this pocket as well. And then on this side, I've got this, which has your broom. And then it has the black cat. I could also write on those if I wanted to. And then we've got this cute girl with her black cats and her broom. And then we've got the black cat there. And then on this page, it's the Halloween page. So I've got this pocket here. It doesn't have anything in it at the moment, but that's some room for me to put some information on Halloween. And in here, we've got this card, Halloween greetings. This flips out. And we've got pumpkin. So that you could also write on the back of, and it also helps hold anything that you tuck in here. Helps hold it in. Got this beautiful little girl there in her cart, Halloween cart with her pumpkins. And then I've got one of the pumpkins from the kit, which I fussy cut the facial features and put some vellum behind. And then I've got a whole lot of these journaling cards, which Corinna gave me as well. So I thought that I could fill up this pocket because I actually gusseted this one. So there's a fair bit of room in there to hold all of this and more. And then this is a tuck spot behind, so I can find some information out about the origins of Halloween and that, and stick in there when I want to. And then I've got this, the end. So that's just a title out of a book and onto the matchbox paper. And then Creep on June, so that will help remind me that I did this book for Creep on June. And that is it, and I absolutely love it. Yeah, I want to make a whole heap now, but I don't really have time, so but I might in the future because I had so much fun with this. So thank you so much, Tracie. Great idea for the month. I've been having so much fun watching everyone else, so go and check out all the videos that everyone else has done and all the videos that everyone's going to do for the rest of the month. And if you haven't got the kit already, the link's down below. Go and grab it if you'd like to join in with us. If you have any questions on anything I've done in here, please feel free to leave them below and I'll try my best to help you out. So take care of yourselves, be good, and I will see you again soon. Bye.